Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Smackdown for August the 6th, 2021. And there is some breaking news. Very rare for there to be non-Smackdown WWE breaking news on a Friday night, but we have it. Now, I do have a request to everybody watching this live. If you're in the chat room and you want to super chat regarding the NXT releases, I am going to recap SmackDown first, and then at the end of the video, I will be talking about the NXT cuts. But first, we're going to get through SmackDown. Shout out to Oofman, who's here moderating, says loves the shirt. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and talk about SmackDown first, and then I will give my thoughts on the releases. And of course, you can read that full list of releases over at NoDQ.com. 12 NXT stars released. NoDQ.com will keep you updated on that. But first, we got SmackDown. We kicked off SmackDown, which was in Tampa, Florida. Of course, Florida, a lot of COVID cases there right now. I did see some more people in the crowd wearing masks than other WWE events in recent weeks. I guess that's a positive. We kicked off with Sasha Banks, and she cut a promo about her attack on Bianca Belair last week. She said that she's back for the spotlight that she created and deserves. She showed a video recap of last week, what she did. She said she exposed Bianca and she made a statement. She said that Bianca is nothing without her. Bianca arrived. Sasha left the ring. Bianca said, is Sasha going to do something? Or is Sasha going to take another 4 months off? Bianca said if Sasha wants the title, it's on. This led to Zelina Vega interrupting, and she challenged Bianca to a title match, which Bianca accepted. Now, of course, we all think, when was the last time Zelina Vega won a match? And she just comes right out there, asks for a title match, and gets it? That's WWE for you. But hey, there was a follow-up to this, which we'll get to in a few minutes. We had Rey Mysterio backstage with Dominik. Rey said that they cannot risk a loss going into SummerSlam. It was announced today that the Mysterios will get their rematch against the Usos at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And Rey said it's very important that they win because they cannot have their momentum crushed. We had Jey Uso versus Dominik in a momentum match. Since they're calling non-title matches contenders matches, they should start calling these matches momentum matches. Anytime two guys are facing each other and they're going to be in a tag team match at the pay-per-view or a multi-man match and there's a singles match on television, they should call those matches momentum matches because they've been basically saying that for years now, always talking about the all-important momentum heading into a pay-per-view. So, pretty decent match here between the two of them. Standard match. Interestingly enough, the crowd was seemingly more into Jey Uso than they were Dominik. We got the Uso chants. Dominik hit a 619. And Rey stopped Jimmy from interfering. Dominik went to the top, tried to hit the splash, but was unsuccessful. And then Jey hit a super kick. He went up to the top, hit a big splash of his own, and pinned Dominik Mysterio. So the Usos, the tag team champions, keep that momentum heading into the pay-per-view. Dominik let his dad down. We had Edge arriving backstage and he was interviewed. He said he will show Seth Rollins what a rotten, selfish bastard he can be. Matt Helms sent in a $5 super chat. No comment But thank you, Matt Helms. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the viewership. Mike B says, do you think Dominik will turn against Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam? Well, as I mentioned before, Rey Mysterio pretty much shot that down in an interview that they would feud against each other, but that could also be him working everybody. Maybe Dominik does get frustrated at some point and turns against his dad. I would not rule it out at some point. Might not happen as soon as SummerSlam, but I could see that as a possibility. Quansack01 says, I wish the Mysterios would just go away. Aw, I like the Mysterios. I think Dominik's doing pretty well for a guy that's only been wrestling on TV for a year. We had a contenders match between Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm not going to do the Rick Boogs intro, which he did do again. Crowd is saying Boogs for him, so they're into it. Pat McAfee, very animated at ringside. We had this contenders match which did not last very long. General Aziz pulled out Nakamura when Nakamura went for the cover. That caused a disqualification. Nakamura recovered, tossed Apollo into Aziz, and celebrated his victory. So I presume that Nakamura is now the number one contender because he won the contenders match. Even though it was a DQ, he did win. Although Apollo might argue, you have to pin me or submit me to get a title match, and then, well, we get another match. Because you know how it goes. They got to face each other repeatedly every single week. Would not shock me. So, yeah, not much to say about this one. Oofman says, everybody make sure to hit the like button on the video. Yes, please. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you give it a like on YouTube, because the more likes the video gets, it tells YouTube that this is a video that should be recommended to other people, and the videos ultimately get more views the more likes they get. So yes, please give it a like if you can, and consider subscribing and turning on notifications for the latest wrestling news updates. We had Paul Heyman interviewed, and he was backstage. The crowd was chanting "what" at him. You know, we got fans again. We got the "what" chants back. Comes with the territory. It's a package deal. You get the fans, you get the "what" chants. And he insulted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Once again, with the fans back, we get the sports team insults, the cheap heat. He said that if he attacked Tom Brady and signed the contract to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, people would be mad about that. He said the contract between Reigns and Cena for SummerSlam is meritless. WWE is enabling, and John Cena does not deserve the opportunity. Big E showed up, making his only appearance on the show, but he had that Money in the Bank contract, and he just laughed at Heyman. We had Tamina one-on-one with Tegan Nox. Shotzi Blackheart was out there, and this was a very short match. Nox went for the Shining Wizard, but she missed. Tamina was going to finish her off with the Samoan drop, but then Shotzi, she shot off her missile. That distracted Tamina, and somehow this was not a DQ, I guess, because technically Tamina wasn't hit with anything, but it was enough to distract her, and Nox rolled up Tamina, scored the victory. I guess they got to cheat even though they're baby faces to win a match. All right. Maybe they're going to be heels. I don't know. But yeah, very short match. Not really much else to say about it. Adam Pearce was backstage, and as I said earlier, there was more to this whole Zelina Vega thing. Pearce and Sonya Deville decided that Zelina Vega will not be getting a title match, but rather this will be a contenders match. Zelina will have to earn her championship opportunity by beating the champion. We had Edge make his appearance. to talk about the attack from Seth Rollins on last week's show. You had a lot of kids shown very excited to see Edge. And I have to say, this is pretty cool to see a new generation of kids liking Edge. Edge is timeless. He comes back. He's got a new generation of fans. I think it's pretty cool. Anyways, Edge cut his promo and said that Rollins isn't there, and that's a good thing because if Edge got his hands on Rollins, he would be in jail. But Edge did say that if the roles were reversed, he would have cost Rollins the Universal Championship. Edge said that Seth is basically a mirror of Edge's past. Rollins showed up via satellite and he Edge challenged Rollins to a match at SummerSlam. Rollins said he would think about it, but then said that maybe Edge should think about it. Rollins brought up how Edge's neck was fused 3 times, mentioned Edge's family. Edge got frustrated and brought up how he eliminated Rollins not once but twice in the Royal Rumble 2020 and 2021. So I like this. I like how they mentioned that, tying it into the storyline. I did not even think that Edge eliminated Rollins 2 years in a row. And I wonder if they purposely did that in 2020 and then again in 2021, thinking at some point these guys would have a match and they could reference it. If so, that's pretty cool. And of course, Edge also mentioned that Rollins did not get the job done in 2014 during the Peep Show. We all remember that segment when Rollins was acting like he was going to curb stomp Edge. And Edge said that this bites Rollins in the ass. He said Rollins is Edge light. And Rollins got very offended by this, and he accepted Edge's challenge for SummerSlam. Great promo here. I thought this was very well done. Great setup for SummerSlam. I'm looking forward to this match. They got me hyped up with this promo. So both guys, hats off to them. Very nice segment. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, I love Edge, but Rollins should win the feud and challenge Roman Reigns for whatever September's pay-per-view is. Kudos to WWE for long-term storytelling, finally. I'm thinking we are going to see more of Edge versus Rollins. So Rollins might face Reigns at some point, but I don't think it's going to be for a while. I'm thinking that Balor will face Reigns in September, but we'll talk about Balor in a few minutes. I suspect Edge and Rollins will probably have at least 2 more pay-per-view matches. Just knowing how WWE operates, that's what I'm expecting. We had Finn Balor cutting a backstage promo saying that Baron Corbin should be minding his own business, and Corbin's going to learn how to have some honor and integrity. Balor also said that when he's done with Corbin, he's got a bone to pick with John Cena. I like this. I like that Balor's getting a backbone here, and there's more to Balor, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. We had the Street Profits going up against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, the Dirty Dogs. A pretty standard tag team match here. Ziggler hit a Fameasser on Dawkins, got an ear fall. Dawkins was able to tag in Ford, and the Profits made their comeback. Ford hit the frog splash, pinned Ziggler, and I'm thinking this is a sign that the Usos will retain the tag team titles at SummerSlam, and Street Profits will get their opportunity at the titles, and that'll be a match at some point. We had Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega, and early on in the match, Sasha Banks, her music hit, and she walked out on the ramp, providing a distraction. Zelina got the upper hand, but it did not last, and Bianca picked up the victory with the KOD. Zelina Vega coming back just to job, but hey, she's collecting the paycheck, and I guess as long as she's getting that money, then more power to her. But Yeah, she's basically back as enhancement talent. And then we had our final match of the evening, Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. No music for Corbin again. And Pat McAfee said that Corbin cannot afford music. I like this storyline, but this is ridiculous. So does this mean that WWE stars have to pay to have their entrance music when they come out? Like, it's just so absurd, but I am enjoying the storyline. I think Corbin does a great job with it. Corbin got on the mic, said he's desperate. He apologized to Balor. Balor said he does not accept the apology. He attacked Corbin. Corbin briefly got the upper hand, but then Balor picked up the victory with the coup de grace. And then afterwards, Balor got on the mic and said that 3 years ago, he would have just smiled when he lost his opportunity and accepted it. But this Finn is not smiling. He wants to face Roman Reigns for the Universal title, and he will go through John Cena if that's what it takes. At this point, Reigns' music hit. Reigns walked down to the ring. We had our final commercial break. MVP Kev says, I'm happy Balor isn't smiling anymore. As am I. I'm very happy that Balor said this and he's taking a serious attitude. He's going for the championship. But Reigns did not appreciate Balor mentioning his name. And as Reigns was cutting this promo, crowd chanted Cena, which makes me feel bad for Balor. They chanted what at Reigns when he was cutting the promo. Reigns threw the mic at Balor and then turned his back, and that's when Balor shoved Reigns out of the ring. Reigns acted like he was going to do something, but then the Usos jumped Balor. Crowd was once again chanting for Cena. Balor managed to fight back. He hit a flying dive to the outside onto both Usos. And then Reigns took off his jacket, got in the ring. Him and Balor brawled. Balor got the upper hand, but then the Usos came back in, and the numbers game just caught up with Balor. Reigns hit a Superman punch, and Jey Uso hit the big splash off the top. Reigns put in the guillotine leg drop, or not leg drop, submission, excuse me, and Balor tapped out. No John Cena. So maybe John Cena is a dick, because last week he took Balor's spot, and then this week, crowd's chanting for him, and Balor's getting beat down, and good guy John is nowhere to be found. Really weird that Cena would not appear here to help out Balor. Very strange. And Cena's new movie just came out, The Suicide Squad, and you would think that Cena would be there. But yeah, no John Cena, at least on the TV portion of SmackDown. I'm presuming that he did the dark match, but I haven't checked. Maybe somebody in the chat room can confirm with me that John Cena did a dark match after the show. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, did you hear McAfee say bum-ass Baron? That was funny. Yeah, McAfee was great as usual. I'm really enjoying McAfee. Him and Cole, I'm very much enjoying them as a team, and I do think that McAfee is bringing out the best in Cole. CC Drink says yes in regards to Cena doing a dark match, so there you go. All right, let's do the letter grade for the show, and then I'll get to the NXT releases. Show was all right. Was not great in my opinion, but it was fairly entertaining from start to finish. I am going to give the show a B- this week. Not a must-see SmackDown by any means, but I did enjoy the Finn Balor segments with Corbin and then with Reigns, and I enjoyed the Edge Rollins promo to set up SummerSlam. The Sasha Bianca stuff was okay, but didn't really do much for me, and the rest of the show was more or less skippable. So yeah, B- for me this week. Crowd was pretty good. Walter and Michael Wayne and CC Drink with a B. Curtis Butler, Game is on 100. Matt Helms, all with a B-. Don gives it a C-, MVP Kev also with a B-. Daniel with a D-. Wow. And Mean Boy 96 with a C+. All right. So on that note, let's talk about the NXT releases. Just when you thought that WWE was done cutting wrestlers, well, they cut 12 more. Another dozen NXT wrestlers are gone from the company. What is going on here? Budget cuts. There's a report that NXT might be rebranding. They're looking to shake things up, bring in some new people, change the logo and the look of the show. It's crazy. And I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but I had somebody tell me that over 100 people have been released from WWE this year. I don't know if that number is completely accurate, but it sounds accurate. A lot of people have been cut this year. And who knows if it's done or if it's going to keep going. I was not surprised at most of the names cut, but there was one name that did surprise me. And I'm just surprised in general that more people are being cut after people were just cut 2 months ago. So the obvious shocker of this group, in my opinion, was Bronson Reed, because WWE was putting him on dark matches, seemingly getting him ready to debut on the main roster. Why would they cut him? Like, they didn't even give him a chance on the main roster. And the guy, he was never pushed super strong in NXT, but he got the North American title. He was building the momentum, and he was getting those tryout matches. Was there just something they did not like about him? Really bizarre to me that they would not even give him a chance on the main roster, an opportunity to succeed on Raw or SmackDown. I just don't get it. They invested a lot in him. Some of the other guys, not as surprising. Mercedes Martinez, a little bit surprising, although they haven't really pushed her very strongly. She's basically been putting over other people in NXT. She was part of Retribution, but then she went back to NXT. A little surprised about her, but not overwhelmingly surprised. Tyler Rust, surprising. Isn't he part of the faction with Roderick Strong, or was part of the faction with Roderick Strong? I mean, I haven't been following NXT closely over the past few weeks, but I thought he was part of that group and they were doing something with him. So that one surprises me a little bit. Leon Ruff, no surprise. I mean, the guy was entertaining as an underdog, but they were never going to seriously push the guy. He was probably never going to be on the main roster, so that one is not a surprise. Bobby Fish, I mean, very good wrestler, but I think the writing was on the wall for him. Over the past several weeks, he's been putting over other people, and pretty clear that there was no real direction for him in NXT, and he was one of those guys that, you know, if he was part of the Undisputed Era and they all went to the main roster, maybe he would have had a shelf life. But once they broke up the group in NXT, it was not looking good that he would be called up to the main roster. So he did not surprise me as a release. Jake Atlas, a little bit, but not much. Again, a guy that was more or less putting over other people in NXT and was never going to be a guy that would be pushed on the main roster. You know, 205 Live guy at best, entertaining guy, but wasn't going to be one of those guys that they would push at a high level. Kona Reeves, not surprised. And then some of these other names, lower tier guys that were cut, none of them surprises to me. 12 names in total. You could check out over on NoDQ.com. And yeah, people are saying the Diamond Mine for Tyler Rust. Surprising in that regard that he was part of that group. And as Curtis Butler points out, Bobby Fish and Mercedes Martinez over 40, although doesn't stop WWE from pushing other people over 40. But they might be having a new youth movement. They did sign a lot of people. Remember that the latest PC class that has Rick Steiner's son in there and Parker, the Brock Lesnar lookalike, like they signed a lot of people. You got Gable Steveson, who won the Olympic gold medal, and would not shock me if he gets signed to WWE. I think they're gonna try to work on some younger talent and start grooming some new guys. Maybe they just felt like they need to change things up and get some new blood. But yeah, it surprised me because they just came off releasing a bunch of people. And I feel bad for those guys, and it might be tough for some of them because AEW's roster is just getting bigger and bigger. And as great as Tony Khan is with giving people work, like there's only so many people you can hire. Bronson Reed, maybe they pick up. Mercedes Martinez, I mean, I think she was being looked at for AEW before she went to WWE. And would not shock me if AEW picked her up. The women's division could definitely use some more star power. So Bronson and Mercedes, the rest of them might end up in Impact, NWA, Ring of Honor. But yeah, I think of that group only Reed and Mercedes will end up in AEW. So that's my take on the releases, and Steve-O says AEW will need to do releases eventually. Yeah, at some point. I mean, even with 4 shows between Dynamite and Dark Elevation and Rampage, I mean, you got a lot of stuff, but you're still gonna eventually need to trim down your roster a little bit. Mean Boy 96 says, what was the best show this week? I would say Dynamite. I think I gave Dynamite a solid B. I mean, that last segment with Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes, to me, was the best segment of any show this week. So yeah, I would go with AEW first, and then SmackDown, and then Raw. Raw's always in last place. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Again, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Thank you all for tuning in and participating in the chat room. And if you're watching on demand, please give the video a like. Consider subscribing, turning on notifications for updates. Enjoy your weekend. Take care, everybody. And I will see you all next time.